So we talked about some of the symptoms, and now you know what the hormones do, or at least you remember some of the things the hormones do. Let's talk about how they end up being imbalanced. What causes a hormone imbalance? And there are 4 main areas that cause hormone imbalance, and this is number 10 on your handout if you are following along. The first is too much stress. The second is having a poor diet or lifestyle. The third is environmental toxicity and internal toxicity. And the fourth is aging. So you'll notice of the 4 main causes of hormone imbalance, the only one you can't do anything about is aging. The others you all have control over. We're going to start by talking about toxicity. The purpose of my seminar is to give you information that you can leave this room with and change your life. So I want you to understand some of this. The Environmental Protection Agency keeps what's called a Toxic Release Inventory, which is a database of 650 chemicals that are disposed of by U.S. companies that are known to be either carcinogens or disrupt the endocrine system or have negative health consequences. In 2008, 22,000 companies reported to the Toxic Release Inventory database. That's the latest in terms of where we have statistics from. And what they reported was 3.86 billion, with a B, pounds of chemical emissions that were pumped into our air, released into the ground, dumped into our lakes and rivers. It's not a matter of if you're toxic. It's a matter of how toxic you are and what you're willing to do about it. That's why I use Oscar the Grouch as the key symbol for our detox program, because 3.86 billion pounds of chemicals eventually make it downstream into our bodies. It can't not. Let's talk about a certain subset of these chemicals that are called endocrine disruptors. EDCs is the abbreviation. And these are toxins in the environment that disrupt our hormone system, our endocrine system. This is a paper that was put out by the Endocrine Society, and for those of you who are healthcare providers, the Endocrine Society is a fairly conservative organization, the oldest organization that writes articles about hormones and keeps a database. And this article is from 2009. You can actually download the entire article for free from their website. And this statement that they put out was on endocrine disrupting chemicals. So they put out a statement explaining what the research shows in terms of chemicals and their disruption of your hormone systems. Endocrine disruptors, and this was their summary, affect male and female reproduction, breast development and cancer, prostate cancer, neuroendocrinology, thyroid function, metabolism, obesity, and cardiovascular endocrinology. And here were the key findings or the key points. These chemicals, endocrine disrupting chemicals, are substances in our environment, in our food, or consumer products that interfere with hormone synthesis, metabolism, or activity. Animal models, so studies in animals, human clinical observation, and epidemiological studies implicate these endocrine disrupting chemicals as a significant concern to public health. The effects of these chemicals can be transmitted to further generations. Did you get that? The effects of these chemicals on our bodies, especially young people, are transmitted to future generations through epigenetic modifications of DNA. And they can continue to expose offspring or the offspring of the offspring to the effects of these chemicals. That's what we're finding. There's strong evidence that exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals can cause reproductive problems, so infertility, cancer, and malformations. And there's increasing evidence that there are effects on other endocrine systems, including thyroid, neuroendocrine, obesity and metabolism, insulin, and glucose homeostasis. And this was their conclusion, or their suggestion, as the Endocrine Society. We suggest that the Endocrine Society actively engages in lobbying for regulation seeking to decrease human exposure to these known endocrine disrupting substances, which is a big deal for the Endocrine Society to actually take a political stand on something. This is another finding, that the rise in the incidence of obesity matches the rise in the use and distribution of industrial chemicals that may be playing a role in generation of obesity, suggesting that endocrine disrupting chemicals play a role, and they do. This is a list of some endocrine disrupting chemicals that you are likely exposed to. You'll notice most of them are insecticides or pesticides. Also PCBs, PVCAs, and then the last two, bisphenol-A and phthalates. Have you heard that term, bisphenol-A and phthalates? It's becoming more common in the media. Well, bisphenol A was actually researched in the 1930s to be a synthetic estrogen. So it was actually being researched to be used for medicine. Does anybody know what replaced it? Any doctors in the room? DES, diethylstilbestrol, replaced bisphenol A for medical use. There's a lot of it. 1,760,000,000 pounds produced in the United States every year. It's used in polycarbonate plastic and epoxy resins. You'll find it in sunglasses, CDs, water bottles, food containers, shatterproof baby bottles, the inside lining of cans. There's a couple companies now who've come out with BPA-free liners for cans. And then phthalates, the other endocrine disrupting chemical you'll hear more and more about. Phthalates are added to plastic to increase their flexibility. There's about 800 million pounds made a year, and they are known endocrine disruptors affecting the kidney and causing brain damage. 100% of people have phthalates on biopsy. We all have it. Used as solvents in perfumes and pesticides, nail polish, paint, adhesive, caulk, kids' toys, sex toys. Phthalates are used in sex toys. Bisphenol A has been found in 93% of the population on fat biopsy. There was a recent study where some Harvard kids were given BPA-containing water bottles and asked to drink out of them for a week. 69% of them had an increased urinary BPA level after only 1 week of drinking out of plastic water bottles. So BPA, or bisphenol A, has estrogenic activity. It's been linked to liver damage. It increases the risk of breast and prostate cancers, obesity and diabetes, and thyroid problems. So anytime you see a number 7, that is a BPA-containing product. So 7 is not a lucky number for plastic. Phthalates. Phthalates that smell that come from soft plastic, like the smell of a new shower curtain. Although we just got a new shower curtain and it's phthalate-free. I don't know what other chemicals are in it, but they are making them now. Rain gear like rain boots and rain jackets, perfume, cologne, that new car smell, that's phthalates. And then flooring. Anything with the number 3 on it has phthalates in it. Might be one of those take-homes that you want to remember about to take into your life. So if you circle the slide on your handout, you'll remember it next time you look at it. So xenoestrogens have been implicated to play a role in BPH, or benign prostatic hypertrophy, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and low sperm motility and low sperm count in men. Also in women, endometriosis, breast cancer. There's an organization called breastcancerfund.org. Love them. They're keeping data and information about the link between breast cancer and environmental chemicals, and obesity. And I'm told that's a receding glacier. It's beautiful, yeah? So I'm sorry to stress you all out, but remember, I'm going to give you tools on what you can do about this. That's the whole point. So your hormone levels decline with age. This is known as menopause in women, andropause in men, adrenopause in women and men. Your DHEA declines with aging. Growth hormones, somatopause, and thyroid hormone all tend to decline with aging. And remember, you now know that aging accelerates as your hormone levels decline.